And we're live. Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever in the world you are. I'm very excited to meet my guest today because I had an Instagram crush on her right away. So I'm super excited at the chance to connect with Celeste, who is already here right on time. So just accepted their request. Here Celeste comes very soon in 5, 4. Hi, Celeste.
Hi, Colin. The crush is mutual.
Oh, I'm so honored by that because naturally my Capricorn moon feelings would be hurt if it wasn't. Thank you so much for joining. How are you today?
I am having a beautiful day so far.
Excellent.
Yes, I'm so excited to talk to you, and I'm optimistic about the future.
Likewise. And what a beautiful place to be on a Monday, right? Like optimistic about the future when theoretically sometimes we don't have a lot of reasons to be. So Celeste, I'd love for you to just introduce yourself and tell people, how astrology found you. I'm always interested in terms of how it kind of seizes people. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm Celeste. I'm an astrologer, coach, and an intuitive, and I've had 25 plus years in business development, sales, marketing for Fortune 500 companies. So
Wonderful.
I've always been like, I've got all this earth, so I've always been very grounded, but I have felt this spiritual pull since my early 30s. And literally the week my progressed sun went into Cancer, astrology found me and took hold. And I mean, I am officially an addict.
Yes, and I also love that it was a progressed sun in Cancer. It's like, welcome home. It's like, I'm going to seize you, and now you're family. And how did you learn astrology? Were you self-taught? Did you learn with other teachers? What was your educational style?
Yeah, so I've learned through a lot of different teachers. My first mentor was Leslie McGurk. On a whim, I had met her. I love to go to the spa, Rancho La Puerta, and I'd met her there in a couple years before. And then she hosted a course there and invited me, and I went. And just, oh my God, I was just taken. I've also studied with Rebecca Gordon. I've done all of her classes.
Amazing. Yeah,
and
such
Deborah
a sweetheart.
Silverman.
Oh.
I'm going to be mentoring for Deborah Silverman starting on Sunday.
Oh,
So,
congratulations.
Yes, thank you. And yeah, I'm a member of Astrology Hub. I mean, I just suck it up, read all kinds of books,
You swan dived right in. And people are saying, is she a Taurus? You better believe Celeste is a Taurus. Do you want to share some details of your natal chart if you feel comfortable?
Yes, my sun is in Taurus, my moon is in Aries, and I'm a Cancer rising. Yes, and my north node is in Pisces in the 9th house next to
gorgeous.
Next to Pallas Athena. So
very cool. Very
like
cool. I'm learning more about the asteroids. Oh, without a doubt it is. And that's why, I love when other astrologers are just happy to support other astrologers. So it was, a no-brainer. That's why I'm so glad to be talking to you. I love it. And funny story, I actually met Deborah Silverman by accident on 5th Avenue in New York City. I was just walking with my friend and I saw her and I was like, you're Deborah Silverman. And she's a May 24th Gemini just like me.
Oh, you have the same birthday? Oh, fantastic.
Same birthday. I know. So that's why I was like, oh my God. Yeah, but she's an Aries moon like you. And I have a soft spot in my heart for your moon sign. I don't play favorites, but I certainly have a soft spot in my heart for the lunar Aries. They just show up in my friends all the time. I don't know what it is.
Ah.
Yeah, you got to support it.
You're a Leo rising, right?
Most embarrassingly, yes. Yes.
Embrace it.
I know. I'm always just like, yeah, I know. Because you know what it is? We're totally geeking out on astrology. My moon is in Capricorn in the 6th conjunct Saturn. So I would much rather just sort of be in my office, almost live like total singular alone time. And the Leo rising is like, no, sweetie, you can't do that. So
you are here to be seen.
I know. My toes are curling just thinking about it. Okay. Well, speaking of shining, let's talk about the Saturn-Uranus square this Wednesday and other astrological configurations that are important. So this was your idea. I'd love to know why you felt moved to share about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just feel like I'm so connected into these squares because
Great.
they are Saturn's going to be squaring my sun, and Uranus is going to be right on my sun during these configurations. So I have
Wow.
felt like the
Wow.
pull for change and transformation and throwing
Mm.
off, structures that no longer suit us. And I feel like the Saturn Pluto conjunction last year, it was the event, and it was setting the stage to that we as we're moving towards our Pluto return, everything, is coming up and needs to change. And I feel like now
Absolutely.
with the, when Jupiter and Saturn
Hmm.
conjuncted on the solstice, that this is like a new world, new opportunities for everyone to figure out where in your life you are being called to make change and come with
Oh,
an
beautiful.
open mind to it and be ready.
Beautiful.
There's no choice. We
Beautiful.
have to change.
No, it's true. And I love that how you're framing astrology, and this is something for me to like kind of push myself to do more so of, because I'm not always centering this, is that you're describing astrology as a continued conversation, right? You're talking about the Saturn Uranus squares this year, and you're supplying the context with that which happened in January 2020. And then at the end of 2020 as well, during the Jupiter Saturn conjunction. So you're absolutely right. 2020 really kind of destroyed reality as we understood it through the pandemic, through political upheavals, through racial uprisings that are long overdue in the United States and elsewhere. And so now that we're kind of in this totally uncharted territory, the Saturn Uranus square is asking us to be the change almost that we wish to see in the world, perhaps.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes, we
Yeah.
have to. Yeah, with the Aquarius theme, it's we have to be the instigator of the change.
Without a doubt. And I
Hmm.
think what's beautiful about a Saturn Uranus square is it's kind of helping us see what Sonia Renee Taylor said, which is that, the system is not outside of us. We are the system, right? So how do we deconstruct the systems within us to make a world where inclusion, accessibility, accountability, mercy, and justice are centered above all else? So that's how I was thinking about the Saturn Uranus square, is like, how do we deconstruct internal systems so we
Hmm.
can actually create the world and the civilization that we dream of? Do you have any thoughts or reflections on that?
Yes, I definitely think it's all of us because the moon plays a key part in each one of the three squares. So
Oh,
on the first one, the moon is right next to Uranus
okay. That's right.
this Wednesday
Yes.
at the same degree. And then
Yeah.
in June, um, the moon is, I have the chart right
Oh, me
here.
too. I love how prepared we came. June 14th.
I
Yeah.
know this is
I
all this
love
Earth, Colin.
Earth energy. Okay, the moon is in Leo on June 14th. And for the record, if anybody is relatively new to these conversations, what Celeste wanted to talk about today were the three Saturn Uranus squares, which happen once every 20 years, approximately, right? Something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Yeah.
I think
So the
Saturn Uranus is the whole thing is like a 45-year cycle, I believe.
uh,
I need to
oh,
check.
okay, okay. Yeah,
I need to
yeah.
double check my numbers, but I believe so. The last square was in 1988 when they were in the opposite signs.
Oh,
So,
wow. Wow. Okay, there we go. There we go. So this year, everybody, there are three Saturn Uranus squares, and we have the first one on Wednesday. So what Celeste is going to do is kind of ground us in a meaningful inquiry so we can pay attention to the events of this year with this particular lens. So you were saying that the moon is a key player in this, and you were talking about the moon in Taurus on Wednesday. Feel free to say more about that.
yeah, so the moon represents the people in mundane astrology. So that to me
Right.
says that we are all in focus, especially since we're going into our Pluto return as Americans, that it's in focus. And um,
Mhm.
I'm a little concerned because also the moon and Uranus are right next to the fixed star Hamel, which is
Oh, wow.
about using force to get what you want done. So
Ah,
brutish behavior and cruelty, and it's got a
oh.
Mars Saturn flavor. So I think we already know that there is going to be a lot about
Mhm.
what happened at the Capitol and
Oh, yeah.
the
That's not done.
that's not done. And the other thing is like I'm so ready to say goodbye to who, number 45. This one's on President's Day. The one in June is on his birthday. day, and the one on Christmas Eve the moon is at 29 Leo on his ascendant. So I'm
Oh,
just like, he is not going to be leaving us alone. So we
anytime
just have to
soon.
be prepared. Yes.
Okay. And Celeste, I just want to give reverence. Like, I love learning from fixed signs because there is this kind of very methodical, very focused specialty technique approach that I really admire. And it's clearly evident in your practice. I just wanted to give reverence to that. You could totally see it in the way that you talk about astrology.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Well
Yeah.
done.
So we
Well
talked about
done.
this one. There could be some kind of event around, just we'll see something around
Yeah.
fighting boundaries, rebels fighting boundaries, and we'll find out what it is. The next
Mm-hmm.
one in June, the moon in Leo is at 14 Leo, opposite Saturn at
Mm-hmm.
13 Aquarius, and
Mm-hmm.
squaring Uranus at 13 Taurus. So there is a T square, and Uranus is the
Okay.
focal point. And between,
Mm-hmm.
the people, the structures, and this all has a lot to do with COVID. And, people are coming unglued with all of this restriction. But the release
Without a
is
doubt.
in Scorpio. So that'll be
Mm.
interesting to see what is unearthed in this
Yes.
summer.
Yes, and there's so much fixed energy, like you're saying, right? The moon in Scorpio, the moon in Taurus on Wednesday, and the moon in Leo and the others. And so for folks who are, regardless of positionality within astrology, how would you focus on how fixed energy allows us to understand the Saturn Uranus square on Wednesday and the two in the rest of the year? How would you kind of start there? Go ahead.
Yeah, so with fixed energy, so when you look at the signs, there's the cardinal signs, which are the initiators. There are the
Correct.
fixed signs, which can hold the energy and ground in, and that is Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, each one in a
Mm-hmm.
different element. And then the mutable signs are like when, we're changing, refining, perfecting, and then we start the cycle again. And so every season, let's talk about spring. Aries starts with the initiating energy. Taurus holds it with the fixed energy. It's a good time
Yep.
to start
Yep.
planning your resources, making them grow. And then in Gemini, the mutable sign, we have some perfection of it. So fixed holds the energy, which is so interesting, and why this is so impactful, because Taurus does not like to change. I can vouch for that. Neither does Leo, neither does Scorpio or Aquarius, even though
Right.
air
The
signs.
disruptors, yeah, they're the great preservers, like you're saying. They really like to kind of maintain a sense of specialty and focus and preservation. And here's the plan, and here's how we execute and follow through. But sometimes life has other plans, right? And so maybe would you sort of suggest that on the Saturn Uranus square this Wednesday, we can really kind of soften into adaptability, mental agility, and you really kind of preserve what needs to be preserved, but change what needs to be changed? Is that a good place to start?
That is fantastic. Resilience is the word of the year for everyone. You have to be resilient, ready for change. There is no choice. And things are changing that we have to change. Like the earth can't take us poisoning it like we have been
No.
forever. Remember when we first went into COVID, and within a week, there were clear skies in places like China and India and
Right.
Los Angeles that
Right.
hadn't seen clear skies. The birds have come out. I mean, we can
Yes.
see life coming back.
Yeah.
This has
No,
to
so
change.
true.
The difference between, the class difference, the difference, I mean, the wealth being hoarded unbelievably by so few, with so many people, with so little and suffering, that has to change. I mean, there's
Yeah.
just so much. And Taurus, about the economy, there has to be change where there's more, that the people are getting more of what they need.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
to make it historical as possible, the other squares that we actually had in Saturn and Uranus were in 1931. So for anybody who has an American historical perspective, we know this is when we were confronted with extraordinarily dangerous circumstances because of the crash of 29 and the Great Depression. And it's really when America started to understand different qualities of economic, salvation and rescue for people who were in enormously egregious circumstances. So you could almost sort of wonder, could we have a reemergence of that? Could we? And it was also in 1951 too, when, obviously we don't want to glorify the 50s because of the gender roles and everything that was available
Yeah.
there, but there was a blossoming middle class, and there, we actually had a minimum wage that allowed people to make their ends met. I mean, the basic necessities were covered. So could you perhaps forecast a returning or a clarifying to that?
Yeah, well, we're seeing the minimum wage is coming up again.
That's
Bernie
right.
Sanders is pushing the $15.
Another Aries moon. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. Oh, fantastic. Yes. Yeah. It's something, President Biden's talking about. It's better to give more to get people up and going and get the economy moving than to be, to be penny pinching because we've got to. Yes. And yeah, I think a lot's going to be happening with the economy. Yeah, but there's also going to be a lot of innovation that we can't even imagine coming out of having to be isolated and whatnot. And yeah, we have to make sure with Saturn in Aquarius that as we are being kept apart from society, that we still maintain connections, and having the internet, having the ability to have these conversations where we can see each other.
Crazy.
I just got on Clubhouse. I haven't
Oh,
done much
okay.
with it yet, but I love that we just have to listen in and speak concisely. It's a really great time to hone your skills.
Yes.
New skills and honing skills.
Yeah, honing skills and connecting with other people who can provide you with like different perspectives. I really feel the air energy. I have to say, it's been trining my Gemini aspects pretty significantly since December, and I'm really just amazed at this cross-cultural, cross-disciplinary inquiry to certain things. It's just making my heart just sing. I absolutely love it. Okay. And to that point, actually, around the economy and security, how would you, as a Taurus sun, right, the kind of safe guardian of security and just consistency in that way, how would you help people understand internal security through astrology?
Yeah, internal security through astrology. The moon, I'm a Cancer rising, as I mentioned. You really have to know how to nurture yourself based on your moon sign and the conversations your moon is having in your chart to make sure you are feeding yourself internally. It's so important, so important.
Yes, I love that you brought up the moon. Yeah, because ruling planet as a Cancer rising, right? And it really does kind of ground you once you understand the configuration of your moon and aspects that it's making, the ruler, the house configurations as well. Yeah, you really have the whole story of internal security and those convictions there that you can then kind of go outward into external reality and make things less complicated, make things less difficult, make things less scary. So how in other ways are you feeling hopeful about the Saturn-Uranus square for 2021?
Yeah, another reason I'm feeling hopeful is that the eclipses that are coming up in June and in November, I took a look at the Saros series. I can't remember all of the details. Bernadette Brady's The Eagle and the Lark. I don't know if you've read that. I love that book. And she goes into you got to put you're a reader. You have to put that. Oh, maybe I can come back and we can do book club about The Eagle and the Lark.
I love a book club moment. I've been having book club all week. So yes. Continue as I bust out my agenda. Back to the eclipses in the spring. Go ahead.
Yeah. So this is all about predictive astrology, the book, and one of the things she talks about is eclipses, and each eclipse has a flavor based on the Saros series, which gets complicated. I am not the best person to explain it. But the two Saros series of the eclipses this year, and maybe I'll do a little post about that. It both has a feeling of positivity and good things. Last year, they were different. They were,
Okay.
there was a lot more like
Okay.
around the eclipses. So I am feeling hopeful about that.
Oh,
The
good.
Jupiter Saturn. I mean, I understand, Jupiter and Saturn can bring more restriction, but I just see more innovation as well coming. I think we survived, democracy held. We now know how fragile it is. I think more people are going to see their role and how we each have to be engaged in the world we want to have. And yes, when you take action, that brings security. So I really suggest people, plan with the moon cycles and make sure they're moving their life forward. This is an incredible time to be alive.
Yeah, it is. And I love, it's difficult to have hope, but I love that you're finding it. I think I'm trying to. I think given the work that we do, it's kind of easy to find hope because we're watching people change. We're watching people get it right. We're watching people have really amazing conversations in service to the healing of the ages in terms of equality and justice. So yeah, the work that we do is hope inspiring. There's no doubt about it. And what was, just for, to re-clarify, what was the name of the book? Because people were asking.
Okay, it's The Eagle and the Lark by Bernadette Brady.
Eagle and the Lark by Bernadette Brady. And
Yeah,
Celeste
and
is talking.
I'll post it in the notes when I
Great.
put the video on my site. I'm at Astrology by Celeste. Please follow me too.
Oh, they will, because I'm posting you to my grid and I'm going to be annoying you evermore. And the eclipses in spring, the eclipses in spring that Celeste we're talking about. The first one is May 26th. That's the lunar eclipse in Gemini. Lunar eclipse in Sagittarius. And then June 10th, a solar eclipse in Gemini. Great. And now.
So you're looking at the solar eclipses when you're looking at the Sero series to see them.
Okay, so that would be the June 10th one, the solar eclipse in Gemini, conjunct my Jupiter and my Venus. Oh, Jesus. Okay, so.
All right, Colin. Yes.
Oh, God. I know, hopefully.
For people who maybe aren't familiar, but eclipses is so much energy. It's like a new moon or a full moon times 10, and they set the tone for the next 6 months. So, my eyes are on those eclipses. My eye is also on Mars and Venus, or Venus and Mars conjuncting at 19 Leo on July 13th. So I see this as a new cycle of, they're coming together to start anew. It's in the summer. I think we're going to start seeing some easing of restriction. And with Leo, joy, children, I think children will be more back to normal by then. And
wow.
I love that. I'm just so focused on that date. I don't know. It just took a hold of me.
Well, listen, I'm going to trust the Cancer rising on this one, okay? I'm going to trust an Aries moon, that kind of instinctual, like, pay attention to this date. No, I think that's really true. And, I was thinking about when you're talking about hope, and I forgot the name of the researcher, but they unpacked the 3 kind of qualifications for hope. And I remember the first one was, it was pathway, agency, and goal accomplishment. And it's making, like this feeling of like, I have personal agency to accomplish these things. What would you say to folks who are, unfortunately not in our career and maybe aren't feeling hopeful? How would you tell them to start to develop hope towards navigating the Saturn Uranus square and the months ahead? I think people are really hungry for that. Where would you tell them to start?
Yeah, so what I love to do to ground in is I use oracle cards, and my favorite deck is Wisdoms of the Oracle by Colette, Barron, Reed, and it really helps me see what I can't see right in front of me, and it's a great tool for self-nurturing if you're feeling out of sorts. And every day in the morning, I pull a card. What do I need to know today? What needs to be in focus? And this one I pulled for this morning is Between Worlds, which speaks to, we are between worlds, and we just have to understand that. And, we can get all worried about the future, but that's anxiety. We don't know what's going to happen. And we just have to, lean in and just hope and take action. And feel like, know your purpose. Like, come get an astrology reading if you really don't know which way you need to go or what you need to know.
Yeah.
That could be
Which
so
you
helpful.
offer.
Yes, I
Which you
offer
offer, right?
astrology readings. Yes, astrology
Yes.
readings. And I'm going to be adding my astrology oracle service to my as well. So I'll do like a hot takes intuitive astrology reading
Of course.
and then
Great.
pull 12 cards like around the wheel and a message will come through. I also do like just full in-depth astrology readings. I'm career coaching. I can help people with my 25
Great.
years in sales and marketing and um, my leadership skills. And I
Love it.
also will be hosting my Moon Mastery program. It's going to be starting in May. And it's going to
Ooh.
help people like get in touch with them. And it's so important to get in touch with your moon sign, use it for planning and keeping yourself moving forward. Because there is a risk to just get like stagnant with all this fixed energy pulling you and
Yes.
getting stuck in the mud, and we can't do that. We have to
No.
move forward in order to thrive. So yes.
Oh, yes.
And I'm
Cardinal
hosting
energy. Go go
three
ahead.
free events that I'm starting. The first one's this Friday as Mercury retrograde is stationary, but they're going to be free. Reach for the moon. People will come on Zoom and I'll just pull you up and you can ask me a question and decide if you want stars or cards. And I will do my best to help give people direction. And we're going to have a good time. You can have a beverage and it's going to be fun and connection.
See, this is
Yeah.
hang out with Cancer Risings. You see what I mean? They create home and family wherever they go. And a Taurus sun, forget it. So people were asking if you could repeat the name of the Oracle card deck that you use every morning. If you could share it one more time.
Yes, it's Wisdom of the Oracle by Colette Barron Reed. And I just love her. She is a Leo moon. But she's an intuitive and psychic, and I love this deck for people because each card has about like a general message, essential meaning, and then there's one about relationships, and then there's one about prosperity. So really great for career goals. And then the protection message, if you get it in reverse, it gives you an extra hug from the universe. Yeah. So I pull a morning card and a night card. What do I need to know as I go to sleep as well? What do I need to be thinking about as I go to sleep to, bring forth into the next day? So
yes. Well, and speaking of moon, I just want to share, and then I have another question for you about like kind of fixed squares. Because my moon is in the 6th house, for people who know astrology, that kind of corresponds to the fact that really I feel the most emotionally grounded through routine, ritual, consistency. Right. And that's not even just like the beauty of my astrological configuration. That just has everything to do with what's been researched as well, is that when we feel grounded in the morning through pulling oracle cards, meditation, contemplation, breath work, cardiovascular exercise, journaling, it allows us to feel a little bit more plugged into purpose and receptive to intuitive guidance and direction, which is the voice for hope, right? And is kind of pushing us to be the people we're capable of because we opened ourselves up as soon as we woke up. Or that's what I would tell myself.
Yeah, and we really need to nurture all of our fire, air, earth, and water, all of the elements. This is making sure you're staying in balance. So fire, the life-giving force, making sure you're getting enough exercise, moving your chi. Earth, the material world, making sure you're keeping up with your bills, the routines, the rituals that can support you. Air. Making sure with all this air and this Aquarius whipping through our heads, really make sure you use meditation and try to keep your mind from going all over the place. And I really like, it's really important for our nervous systems. Drink lots of water. Salt baths are really great. And and the water, connecting with your inner body wisdom, listen in. Make sure you take at least 10 minutes a day. And this is so hard for me because I'm just going. Sit and try to listen to your body. What is it telling you? Because and that's the water to make sure we're connected. With our
absolutely. No, I like, and that's for all the moon signs, right? So we could always replay that in case you're curious about how to. If someone just mentioned salt baths, exactly. Just quick little ways that we can connect to elements to optimize our emotional health and our emotional safety. So on the focus of a square in fixed signs, right? We got a lot of fixed energy, which, as we know, can be almost unyielding and kind of very tenacious and dogmatic. That's why you said resilience is the operative kind of word here. What other recommendations would you have for people to hold the 3 Saturn Uranus squares around? Here's what needs to change with Uranus, and here's what needs to be preserved with Saturn. How would you guide them towards understanding where we need progress and where we need stability? Go ahead.
Yeah, so depending on your sign, these 2 squares are happening in 2 different houses. So knowing that Uranus is where you're really where Uranus is, where Taurus is in your natal chart, is where you're really being called to look to what do you need to change about that area of your life. And that Saturn activation from Aquarius is calling you to be individualistic. Look to where you have like sublimated yourself or held yourself back or dimmed your light in order to fit in with the group. So I think thinking about that, I'm going to be taping I'm going to do a Zoom and upload it to my YouTube channel about Saturn Uranus square. And I'm going to go through each of the signs and what it means for each of them. But especially if you're a fixed sign, either sun, moon, or rising in Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, or Aquarius, I mean, there is no choice. Change is coming, and if you fight it, it's going to be painful. Now, with the air signs, that Saturn can be helping you to bring the structure. Yeah. And with the earth signs, that Uranus, I think it's more of a pull, like you're feeling like a pull that you enjoy to do the pages. Yeah.
Yeah, because we're realizing it's isn't efficient. So we're like, I gotta change because this is going to be the results that I want. And actually to use a fixed methodology, and at the risk of sounding like an evangelizer, just because her work has completely changed my life, Dr. Brene Brown speaks often on whenever we are about to participate in the arena, which is really a metaphor for any place of uncertainty, prolonged uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure, right? What we need is our clarity of values and our convictions. And to me, that's how I actually understand Aquarius and Taurus energy is I think Taurus really demonstrates a life of safety and security through an active clarification and operationalizing of the values. And then Aquarius energy through conviction and through vision changes what needs to be changes because they have the faith and the perspective to say, all right, it's the 11th hour. It's not midnight yet. What am I supposed to do in between? Because I got a lot of work to do to change the world. Right. So it's really about values and convictions. And I think, right. And I think if we have that, and that's Brene, I'm just putting it in, in an astrological lens. But that's how I understand Taurus energy and Aquarius, right? Because Taurus is a sign of safety and security, and that's why it's often considered the sign most associated with finances and income, which, of course, let's talk about financial literacy. And then let's also remember that money doesn't guarantee security at all.
Not at all. Nobody, Pauper and Prince had the rug pulled out. Pluto doesn't care who you are. What you think you are.
That's right. That's right. So wait, can you say more about you as a Taurus sun? I think your Mercury was in Taurus and Venus as well, if I remember. Right.
Yeah, so Saturn on my sun, Mercury in Taurus. Change is not something I like, but I can remember to the date in 2018, like I'm very sensitive to when the planets change signs.
Yes.
The outer planets especially.
Yeah.
Something within me told me something needs to change. My life needs to change. This is not fulfilling me. And it took Uranus had to kind of bat me around and shake me up. It wasn't just like, I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to change. I kind of went to the basement and came back out before I realized what needed to happen. But that's the beauty of having Uranus and been in the sign for almost 2 years. Is that almost 3 years before the squares? So it gives us time to everybody should be feeling some kind of pull to change before the actual events start really shaking our
Activating in such a way.
foundation. So
Yeah. And now
yes.
I think this is to make this conversation, speak to change. What do you think are some common thinking traps that people have related to, I would love to change, I'd love to change this, but this is interrupting me. What do you think stops people from changing what needs to be changed on the individual so they can see that in the external?
I think a lot of people feel powerless within themselves and,
Yes.
and, and not understanding their individual power. When people are fearing change, it has
Mm,
to do a lot with about feeling their own agency to make change, or wanting
yeah.
to take, a long jump to change. You've got to do it like
Mm,
step by step, bite-sized pieces. And that's what's beautiful about working with the moon signs. You don't just in January come up with all of these resolutions that are gone by February. Every
right.
month we have an opportunity as the moon is in a different sign to start anew. So if you fall
Yeah.
down, you can get right back up and adjust differently. So I think
Yeah.
it's a very empowering to work with the moon signs and maybe affirmations about
I know.
about that people can write affirmations that really connect with themselves and understanding really what your self limitations are that make you feel like you can't
Yeah.
move through this change because you can.
Yeah. Because you can. And I think why I love talking to earth signs is because they're constantly reminding me about really the simple application of these strategies, right? Like in terms of, okay, you could try to work with the moon signs, you can try to work with affirmations. These practices are simple. It's just that they're very different from what the world teaches. And what is difficult is getting over our resistance to doing things differently. What Celeste just recommended is not difficult, it's just different. And sometimes I think what we need to remember is that personal agency, goal setting, and hope, these are simple applied qualities that if we understand, we can move through any astrological transit with resilience
Mhm.
and meaning and connection with other people. So thank you for sharing that, because sometimes it's just as like simple as, where's the lunar phases, what's going on, right? And adopting that so that I can be the person that my chart wants me to be, right? Anything to add about that?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so every week you cut out a little bit, but I think I got most of it.
Oh, I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
every week.
Okay.
That's not your fault. That's Uranus and Saturn coming together. I'm worried about
Right.
that with the internet.
That's right. I
But
know. I know.
every week, another beauty of working with the moon is every week there's a different phase. So we start with the new moon, and then at the first
Mm,
quarter, we can make adjustments to what we set out to do. At the full moon, all is illuminated. It's a good time to have gratitude, celebrate what went well, and then release what you know you need to release. And then at the last quarter moon, we kind of clear things up and then rest as the light
yeah.
wanes, and then we start anew. So we're supposed to live in a cycle. We're not supposed to just constantly be trying to chase the sun. The Icarusness of our culture is just unhealthy. We,
It is. And yeah, we need rest and recharge. And I'm curious because you're an Aries moon, so I'm sure I could ask you this, but if you're like, oh, no, I don't want to answer that. Do you have an experience, a personal experience that you can share for folks where you felt powerless and astrology helped you claim more power within?
um, experience. Well, I have felt powerless in my life in the past, and that can be from the the Taurus sun just wants to fix in. And the
Mm.
Aries moon has helped me move past relationships. I know you are a relationship expert.
Oh,
I've always
hardly, but
felt
I'm
the
trying.
need to
Go ahead.
that
I'm
fire,
trying.
that internal well of knowing that I will be okay with Aries moon, because Aries is the first sign, it's initiating, it's the pioneer. going to really to make change, even when it's really, 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 really uncomfortable. I think my Aries moon has nurtured me through that Taurus, like wanting to dig in, and that
Yes.
little voice, that subconscious voice telling me everything will be all right. You can move it forward. It may be painful. I mean, I've had very hard things in my life, but I'm
Yeah.
blessed.
Yes, and I think you're also using
Uh-oh.
astrology to, you're using astrology to become an astrologer right now, right? Like this is a moment of like tremendous risk because you're almost in a pseudo career transition and you're trying to sort of say like, okay, I'm going to put my stake in the ground. Like this is what I want to
Yeah.
do and this is who I want to be. And that's a tremendous act of courage, Celeste. And I just want to say you should be really proud of yourself and like, thank God you got that Aries moon, honey. Right?
Yes, that's what helps me, because I get freaked out about my money.
Oh yeah, right. With all that Taurus energy. Yeah, no, I would too. So that's why I was like, oh, Celeste Aries moon, that will always, always, always save you. No, I love that. And I think, yeah, I think when we really stop and think about how when we follow the wisdom of our astrology, it does generate power within. It's that feeling of like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen, but I know that if I do what works well for me in the space of what's happening, I will probably find out that things were taken care of and that things unfolded the way that they needed to be. So I just love that you're utilizing astrology to feel more powerful within and to inspire other people to do the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
way
you,
to go.
Colin.
Hey,
Yes,
you're
I love
welcome.
what you do. I thank you so much for being so warm and open and welcoming. I'm so happy to have a new friend in the
Of
Astro
course.
community.
Of
And this was
course.
fantastic.
Oh, of
Yes.
course. No,
And
and
we
I
have to
think
get back together after you read Bernadette Brady.
I know we'll totally have a book club. And I'm wondering, do you have maybe like 15, 20 minutes for questions if people have them, or
Oh,
do you have to run?
yes. I
Okay.
am
Yes,
here
because
for you and here for your community.
oh, great. Okay, so folks, if you have any questions about the Saturn Uranus square, or if you would like, two astrologers to kind of like dive into anything that you'd want to know, we'd be happy to do that. I'll read the questions to Celeste, and we could field them
Yeah, I see.
together.
Moon Shala said that finding about her Venus and Scorpio helped her
Oh my
so
God.
much. Yes,
Yes.
astrology is the language of self-compassion, because when you start to
Oh,
understand, like Moon Shala, she cannot be on these little like lighthearted relationships. She has to
no.
go deep and get deep with that Venus and Scorpio, and that is just fine.
That's right.
People,
That's
yeah.
right.
Mm-hmm.
And when I learned about my moon in Capricorn, I was like, oh, that's why people think I'm too direct and harsh. But then it kind of like gave me permission to like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but say what needs to be said. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Like, but just say it because people need to know? Oh, so
Yes.
Celeste, Retrogradian Space wants to know what significance does 2012 have in all these transits?
2012.
Yeah.
Can you give me some more? The only thing I can
If
think
they,
about in 2012 was that, so Saturn in 2012 was in Taurus. Wait, no. Was it Scorpio?
Scorpio, it was like,
Was
it
in
was
Scorpio. So
Libra
it
Scorpio,
was like
Libra
7
Scorpio.
years ago.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I think it was in Scorpio in 2012. And so that it's a square from Aquarius to Scorpio. So if that Saturn activated your chart, particularly in 2012, there's going to be a continuation of the story.
Ooh, yes, yes,
Oh,
yes.
yeah. Yeah. So there's going to be
Oh,
I think that's what they're asking. Also in 2012, Venus was also in retrograde, but that was a last year story.
and it was
Yeah. In
retrograde in
Gemini.
Gemini where it wasn't,
But if there's more
yeah, where it was in
context,
2020.
let me know. But I think that's what they're referring to.
Yeah. And it was also, I
Oh,
think the
so
North Node was
Bad
Sag.
Fatty is a Scorpio Sun, Taurus rising. Which fixed sign? So Taurus risings, at some point, Uranus is going into your first house, calling for
Mm.
you to change. You've got to make sure to take care of your nervous system, because the first house can speak to the body, and things about
Mm.
the body. So I
Mhm.
think, yeah, you're going to have pressure on whatever. So if you are a Scorpio sun, your sun should be in your fourth house, I believe. So you're going to have pressure where you're going to need to change something internal, I think, is a structure, an internal structure. Maybe self-limitations is going to be a word that you should think about how to release them. I would say that for
Yes. And on that point of self-limitation, I think a lot of us really need to know that external change is a function of the internal shifts that we have around letting go of limiting beliefs and self-limitations, you know, and just really making sure that if we want to go out into the external world and make those changes, we need to really have that information come alive within our hearts and minds and souls so that we can really, you know, be about it when we start to see it happening, right? So a question is, are we looking for change in the Saturn and Uranus aspects in our chart for this event? I think, so what they're saying is like, would that change be the Saturn-Uranus square? Would it be perhaps aspecting our own Saturn and Uranus? Probably, right?
Mm-hmm. So what happens when we have these outer planet or any these triggers? What happens is you not only need to look at where the transiting planets are in your chart, you have to look at where they are natally. So that also you will see change in those areas. And if you have any kind of conversation between your own Saturn and Uranus in your natal chart, especially if it's a square, it's going to be like boom, 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 boom. You're going to feel activation where everything is in your chart. So, yeah. So we look at our natal chart as well.
Yeah, and I saw another great question about Jupiter in Pisces in May. Which is always true.
I think that's coming. Is that in May? Jupiter's going to kind of dip into Pisces up to 1 degree and then come on back. I am looking forward to that. My North Node is in Pisces. I think, we'll see. You know, one thing I'm worried about Jupiter in Pisces, because Neptune is in Pisces. And we know, and it's in the last decan, which gives it a scorpionic flavor. And with all this conspiracy theory, I mean, this QAnon stuff, it's like,
I know.
What is going on? I read an article, well, I didn't read the whole thing, but it was talking about yoga moms are into QAnon. I'm like, what in the world is going on where people think like Democrats and celebrities are eating babies and doing all kinds? I mean, it's just insane.
Celeste, and you know what? There's a lot of work in that in terms of how the higher consciousness crowd has been completely held hostage by these outrageous conspiracy theories. And if anybody feels moved, highly recommend people to actually read on journalistic integrity for that reason. What has really saved me to make sure that everything that I'm contributing is grounded in information from multiple sources is I'm constantly reading into the ethics of journalism and the principles of journalism to make sure that we're not just like regurgitating really ridiculous information. A friend of mine, Angelica, who is a Leo rising, wanted to know how the Saturn-Uranus square could affect wellness. I'm almost positive that Saturn hasn't entered Angelica's 7th house yet. So there's a fourth, right? So there will probably be then a 10-4 kind of square. Do you have anything to say about that?
About her wellness? Yeah.
Yes, because Saturn's in her 6th.
Saturn's in her 6th. Oh, okay. So it could be about wellness or daily life, depending. But yeah, it is so important to take care of your nervous system this year because there is so much air. Uranus can trigger issues around. I remember when I had Uranus on my moon. I didn't know it at the time because I wasn't an astrologer, but I was like waking up in the middle of the night, freaked out. I mean, it's if you're finding yourself uncentered or you know being really unnerved, make sure you drink lots of water, make sure you nurture yourself with you know whatever vitamins and minerals and things you need. But Saturn in your 6th house it could be a great time to lose some weight with Saturn in the 6th house. If you need to. I don't know.
Never know. Yeah, it's funny because I know Angelica is working out some health-related things. And, Yeah, and when I was like, oh, let's get together in the morning, she was like, I stay up way too late, so like I don't know. So it just made me laugh that I know that you were talking about, making sure that we can incorporate, something in the morning to optimize health and wellness in a particular way. So that's
Sleep.
very interesting. Yeah,
Sleep
sleep.
is
I
the
know.
most important thing you need. Your body needs, Angelica, to recharge and relax and regenerate. And this is another problem with our sun focused society. There is, especially in corporate America, like there is this push to like barely sleep and work nonstop. You've got to let your body recharge. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm my mother's daughter, and I go to bed at like 9:30 at night. I'm tired. I'm like, good night. I'm done. I don't want to. I see ya. Work's over. Okay, I know. I sleep like a baby. But thank you for that. And yeah, and Saturn in the sixth. Thank you. Said Saturn in the sixth could also be great for body positivity. Absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
just totally restructuring the way that the hierarchy of bodies, to use Sonia Renee Taylor's understanding, and making sure that we are holding space and inclusion and accessibility for all physical bodies, right? And not seeing any
Yes.
hierarchy of bodies. Absolutely, way to go. And now,
Yeah,
how
and
are
the
you
rituals
seeing?
and routines that you mentioned that really nurture you
Oh,
with the moon there, like getting on a schedule where you really take care of yourself. I love,
yeah.
there's an app called the breathing app. Oh, breathing is so important this year.
Mm,
So it's
mm,
something you can even set it to make yourself stop, take a 2 minute break at least 3 times a day, and just
yeah.
breathe and go into your body and just see how you're feeling. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And yes, of course, I'm going to save this life. No, I totally agree because last weekend, let me just say, as soon as I got in the car, Celeste was like running errands, I knew it was a bad idea. I don't know why. I was just like, everybody was like out to lunch. It was the Moon Neptune conjunction on Saturday. Nobody was paying attention. People were not driving responsibly. And I was like, this is so bad. And then I just like pulled over, did some breathing, and everything was fine. I swear. Like this shit works. It's crazy
It
how quick
does.
it
It
really.
does.
I know. It's like it's that simple. Don't complicate it. It's really that simple. I love it. I love it. Let me just
Yeah.
yeah. I've heard that from so many. Breathing is important right now. Yeah, because we have the North Node in Gemini, Saturn in Aquarius. So these are air energies, and that great conjunction on December 21st allegedly initiated 200 years worth of air, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
Celeste, how do you incorporate like this kind of combination of Earth meeting air in a Saturn Uranus square? What does that mean for you?
That's a great question. So when Earth and air come together, yeah, you can bring voice to to
Yes.
practicality. So I think for people, a good way to work with this is writing. So journal, yes, I love it. So when I pull my oracle card, I take a picture and then I take some time to journal about what I think it means for me. And then as you work with them more, you will get into a conversation where they'll tell you when they come up certain people will be represented and certain things. So it really can help you ground by working with oracle cards to
Yeah. And I
make
love
sure
that you
you come into your body, come from stay out of just like anxiety and being in your head all the time, and come
yeah.
in through
Give voice
practicality.
to the practicality. That was so beautifully said. I know, because I really think we live in a culture that loves to make things so complicated because
Mhm.
God forbid we realized it was that easy to feel worthy and have self-love, self-care, and self-compassion exactly as we are, right? Because then we wouldn't be buying things and we wouldn't be trying to lose weight if we didn't have to, and blah, 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 blah. Because God forbid we just saw ourselves as fundamentally worthy right now. But anyway, don't get me started on that.
Oh
And I
yeah.
also
Yeah.
Oh,
Mhm.
and I also think that there is a real beauty in terms of earth and air coming together to walk and talk the walk. It's like
Mhm.
if you're really going to be about it, then prove it. And then give voice to what exactly you're doing so people can have maximum understanding, you know?
Yes.
Because I see that. I see that really beautifully coming together too. So, and we still have about maybe 10 more minutes with Celeste. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them now. And
I
people are
saw
saying that,
one. I
oh,
saw one
sure.
go by where someone asked the most important placements.
Oh,
So
great. Let's hear it.
okay, I can answer that. So definitely
Absolutely.
your sun, moon, and rising are the three components of personality, speaking to your
Mm-hmm.
essence, how you
Mm-hmm.
need to be nurtured, and we talk about the rising sign as the mask, but it's also what your soul is rising to. So you should really nurture your rising sign. That's another way to get into yourself. The midheaven is where you meet the world, you know, I'm an Aries midheaven, so making sure you are doing something to achieve that. And I love the North Node. Understanding my North Node in Pisces changed my life completely, because I was all deep into that South Node in Virgo, and you know, worrying about all the details and being too hard on myself and all this kind of stuff, and moving to that North Node. It's the path to bliss. And then Saturn is your life lesson. So Saturn's not optional. You got to do your Saturn. So making sure you're clear about what what you karmically have to do in this life. So I think those are the most important placements.
Yeah, right. And someone else wanted to know, how do you choose Western or Vedic astrology charts?
Oh, I do Western astrology. I haven't gotten into Vedic yet, but I know like the North Node is totally different in in Vedic. It's like what it eats, everything. It's Rahu. Is it Rahu? That's the North Node in Vedic.
I think so. Yeah, Rahu Ketu. Yeah.
We have a different perspective. I look at the North Node as what we should be leaning in towards, and balancing that South Node. What is easy for us gives us, you know, balancing the two polarities gives us the best possible evolution in our lives. So that's my thought on that. Yeah.
Which is also beautifully said, because I think what we need to remember is that in astrologies, you know, the squares and the polarities are considered, you know, a little scary and something that we want to be really mindful of. But there's something really to be said about how to use this energy to be leveraged and not seeing as a problem that needs to be solved. It's just, you know, life is in opposites and polarities and contradictions, and so is our astrology. And I think what's really beautiful is when we can approach that framework with not trying to make it all fit into our pre-ascribed boxes and notions and understandings and unambitious frameworks. We could see astrology just show us the full scope, the full multidimensionality, right? So just wanted to say, I love that you kind of gave reference these are enough.
I want to say something else about the polarities. The moon cycles as well allow us to work with each of the polarities. There's an axis. They're all on an axis. So we're coming up to Pisces season. And so the axis is going to be Virgo. So there's going to be a new moon in Pisces and a full moon in Virgo, making us practical dreamers. So keep that in mind with this upcoming. So don't let go of the dream. Make sure, no matter how hard things are right now, make sure that you are envisioning and imagining forward and making, you know, putting to paper tools or, you know, tasks and things that you want, intentions to move yourself forward.
Yes. And to use your Icarus framework too, like sometimes the goal could just be as simple as I went to bed early and slept for 8 hours, or, you know, I drank 3 glasses of water. Like it could literally just be those little steps that become the new norms. You know, we don't necessarily need to do all of it at once, right? Also to give functionality to your lunar phases framework, you know, each one focuses us on a particular thing so that we can do all of it in divine timing, but not trying to accomplish all of it at once, right?
Yes. Yeah. Talking about going to bed, Virgo would love you to go to bed and get the number of hours of sleep you need. Virgo's about health and daily life and habits. That is a perfect. I tend to do three intentions every moon cycle, 2 more short term and 1 long term, because another thing with the moon cycles, there's this also a gestational period that's a 9 month cycle. So when there's a new moon in Pisces coming up, in 9 months from then, there'll be a first quarter moon in Pisces at the same approximate degree. So you can continue these large stories over a 2 and a quarter year period. And I want you to go look back, Colin, from when you wrote your books, and see what the new moons and the moon cycles were about around that time. And I bet you'll see around those degrees like a story unfolding about when the idea was seeded, when you started to like actually see it come to life, when you were, you know, done. And look back and see. It would be fascinating.
Well, what was wild.
Perfect.
Yeah, I received my first literary contract during the full moon in Gemini in 2017.
Yep.
Can't make
Yep.
this shit up.
You can't.
You
You
can't. You
can't. Yeah,
can't.
you give yourself like a week or so on either side, and you will see things, especially when the moon is in the light phase in your life. Yeah,
Oh my
externally or
God. Yeah.
internally.
You cannot make it up. Well, can you tell the people who are absolutely falling in love with you, and rightfully they should be, where they can find you and what services you offer so they can learn more about your approach to astrology, your lunar phase framework? Go ahead.
Yeah, so astrologybyceleste.com is my website. I also do Instagram lives every Sunday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I like to do talk about current events and put them in the context of astrology. Then I will talk
Great.
about the moon phase typically, and then I'll pull cards of what we need to know for the week. So I do that every single week. I also I have a blog on my website. I also, if you join my newsletter, you get all kinds of goodies that I send out as well. I do about twice a month. And then I
Great.
do on YouTube some videos about more technical topics. I'm also on Facebook. But as I mentioned, I will be doing these 3 free live events where you may get a chance to come on up, and you can see that on the events page of my website. So please subscribe. You can book a reading. They're on sale till the end of February. Yes, you can book a reading. You can, I can do coaching if you want to, career coaching, or I can host events. If you want me to come to an event, we can get together with your friends on Zoom and we can have a good old time talking about each person's sun, moon, rising, or whatever. We can craft something together. So I offer all kinds of services. I have Mars and Venus and Gemini, so I need to. I need to have like a lot of different things that I can do to help people. But I'm a healer. I'm Chiron at the top of my chart. So I feel like I'm a healer and I'm here to help people achieve their goals.
No, you really are. And you can tell you're so sincere in your approach, and like the motivation to just be of service to other people just radiates from everything that you do. And that's why I know you're already a success, and it will continue to be so for you because you're in it for such meaningful reasons and will be protected and supported every step of the way.
Oh, well, thank you, Colin. This has been my joy, my pleasure, and we have to do this again for sure.
Yes,
and
I know.
In person someday. My family's on the East Coast. I will let you know when I may not be in 2022, but we have to get together.
No, I know, because in true Aquarius fashion, we all have this separate togetherness, right? But I'm longing for the day that we can all reunite in person. And I'm just going to say, because my Mars is in Cancer, we're going to have a big like Mars ascendant conjunction hug, and it'll be the best. It'll be the best.
Yes. Oh, I love that. And thank you to your community. They have been wonderful with such great questions. Sorry, they went by so fast. I didn't get a chance to answer them all. But I'll post this video on I think I can download it too, right?
I believe so. I know Instagram's funny with lives. I wish it was easier. I'll try to figure it out as well. You can always screen record it and post it to your stories, but we'll figure it out.
I'll figure it out. And then, people can ask me any questions that I didn't answer, and I will post them I will answer them for you.
Yes. And you're getting all the love that you deserve. And so I will post this to my grid, and then you could check out Celeste's free programs. You can have a reading with her, and hopefully we'll get a hug in the East Coast, West Coast sometime soon, okay?
Sounds wonderful. Yay. Thank you so much. Love to you all. Expect the unexpected, and we will get through whatever happens with these Saturn-Uranus squares.
Because we're in it together. I love it, Celeste.
We are family.
That's right, because we got Cancer energy going on. Have a wonderful week, everybody. Thank you for joining, Celeste. Thank you for your brilliance, and we'll see everybody very soon.
Thank you.
Bye everybody. Bye.